Welcome to my Q&A videos where I take your questions to talk about multiple different topics. So the first question comes from RohoBK8256. What do you think Naughty Dog should do next? With the release of Spider-Man, Insomniac has shown just how insane their production cycle is, and Naughty Dog seems to be stuck in a Last of Us and remaster thing. What kind of game would you want to see from them? Well, I do think I would like to see their resources spent elsewhere than just remastering things. I really liked how they cleaned up The Last of Us Part 1, didn't want to spend full price on it, and with The Last of Us Part 2 now being remastered and kind of being offered as like a $10 upgrade, I think that's better. But again, I'd rather them just focus most of their work on making new stuff. Granted, they have multiple teams, and I assume they are definitely making other stuff. They've actually kind of confirmed that already, but still. For me, if you've been watching, you know the obvious answer. I want them to go back to making cartoon games. I want another Jak and Daxter badly. Like, they can totally bring that back in so many different ways. Either go back to the original first one, the quirky charm, or continue that cool sci-fi world they built. They could do anything. Throw them in a different world now. I don't know. There's so much they could possibly do, but even if it's not Jak and Daxter, I would love for them to make a humorous, lighthearted, cartoony game. Granted, so much leadership change and time and interest changes means that Naughty Dog is probably not going to do that. At least I don't expect them to do that anytime soon, short of like a miracle. But on the other hand, I think if they're sticking with their serious storytelling, mature, hyper-realistic looking games, I know a lot of people have been wanting for them to do like a sci-fi game. I personally would like to see them lend their talents to like a period piece game. We have an incredible, highly detailed, realistic Western like Red Dead Redemption 2, of course, from Rockstar. But I would like to see Naughty Dog kind of do something like that. Maybe not a Western, maybe a Prohibition type era thing, maybe even further back in time, just some sort of European history. I don't know. I almost think Naughty Dog could do a really cool swashbuckling pirate adventure. I mean, they've kind of tackled that with Uncharted, but now imagine they actually built game worlds and characters and this fun adventure in the 1600s or something like that. I would go nuts for something like that, especially like if they don't continue Nathan Drake Uncharted. They could technically, oh wow, I'm just putting this together in my head. They could technically go back in time and tell stories of how these treasures came to be. Like, you know, like the pirate stuff from Uncharted 4. I don't know. I'm just spitballing, but I would like to see that stuff. They're going to make what they want to make. They're in charge of their own destinies, but that's what I would like to see. So if you are new here, just to fill in, I've been doing these videos more often because feedback seems to be pretty good. You guys like having me yap about subjects I wouldn't normally cover. So what I do with these videos is you leave questions in the comment section of this video for me to answer or tackle in the next Q&A video. I also get them from YouTube membership people and Patreon folks, so thanks for having my back. Anyway, the next question is from Sidhu4563. Diehard Prince of Persia fan here, even though the franchise isn't dead and I'm looking forward to The Lost Crown. Do you think we will get another mainline entry or perhaps even a reboot? It's interesting, Prince of Persia, like it finds itself in a really interesting place. First of all, The Lost Crown, I did get to play a little bit of it, like a hands-on, like, you know, pre-alpha. It was early, but I do think it's very cool. As much as people aren't into you playing as someone who isn't the prince, I think otherwise it's a really fun game. But I think my personal problem with this series is that two things. I think this is a wild take, but I think it peaked with Sands of Time. I think Sands of Time was one of the greatest games ever made, and from there it kind of felt like diminishing returns. Warrior Within, it kept going, and I played all of them and I enjoyed them, but still at that time, and maybe it's because I wasn't super young, so I don't have nostalgia, but like for me, I really loved I found the first one like from my critic brain, but also my fun brain to be like the peak, and then from there, nah. And then the series is interesting because like it's kind of tried different things before. It's done like a kind of reboot. It's done a soft reboot, and nothing really stuck. And now they're even remaking my favorite, Sands of Time. And who knows when that's coming. So it's kind of in this all over the place thing. I think there's only one way to continue the story is go really far ahead, jump ahead, and do like a God of War 2018 thing where we have like a grizzled, badass, bearded prince who's like just like a lost mercenary or I don't know, something like that. Or they completely reboot it just because like from the corporate sense, like they're like, oh, this is dried up. We got to start over with this property. I think that's just the realistic, like it's going one way or the other type thing. I don't necessarily want a Prince of Persia, sequel to go the God of War 2018 route where it's slower and more sad. I'd like to see him kind of like dust himself off and like start doing more, I don't know, parkour and wall running, but who knows? Pinch Slinky asks, I understand why publishers put embargoes on when reviews and such things can be published, but why are you and others not able to even say what you are in the process of reviewing? Personally, as a viewer and consumer, I'd love to know what reviews are coming up. So the answer is actually pretty mundane. It's just all weird, boring inside baseball reviewer stuff, but a lot of companies, whether it's the publisher themselves or the third-party PR company that they're working with, have so many middlemen and so many rules and things that make things complicated that they try and shore up the line of communication and when information gets out. It's all information control of the flow of information, really. So some companies honestly do let you say when you are reviewing something. They say, hey, we sent you the game. Feel free to let people know when you're reviewing it and when reviews are going up. Some companies are like, don't even show the game. Don't even like show your friends the game. Don't even like have yourself online. It's all over the place, really. And it's not always like the companies have something to hide, like with a shitty game or anything like that. It's just companies being weird and annoying. I've talked before how frustrated I get with the review process in terms of like, talking to publishers and trying to get early access to their games. A lot of people think of like things on their side as like nefarious or wrongdoing. And there have been instances, of course, but most of it is just like kind of mundane BS. Also, I think in some parts of the internet, like if you're saying you're reviewing something like some early game that people are going crazy for, that kind of opens you up to maybe like being hacked or being like people trying to get at your account that they know you're playing the game, or they're going to look at your achievement list and see what's going on. That's the only other thing I can think of, but that's really it. The Sean's 2007 says, please ask your cat to come say hi again. Abby is not here. I don't actually know where she is. Cats just go missing for a while. But the Sean's 2007 also says, so I'm getting a kitten in a few weeks' time. Any pro tips? I would just say cats get weird when they're disrupted or they're not comfortable. So make sure like you have an established space for said cat and, a clear defined area for a litter box and stuff like that, and you're good to go. Cats are low maintenance, but also they get kitty litter everywhere and their poop smells really bad. Blah, I don't know. Cats are weird, man. I have like a love-hate relationship with them. Hey, now before we keep going on this Q&A, just wanted to give a quick word about today's sponsor. It's Factor. Factor delivers fresh, never frozen, dietitian-approved meals right to your doorstep. This fall season is ramping up to be pretty busy for you, probably. For me personally, definitely. I still have like some things under construction here, so having food figured out for you is just so clutch. Their menus are updated weekly, they have a bunch of fun add-on options, and you can get really specific. And thankfully, they offer something for everybody. Factor offers keto, calorie smart, chef's choice, and vegan and veggie options, which include seafood, meat, and plant-based meals. It's easy if you're not really a cook because you unbox them, you heat them up in the microwave in 2 minutes, you're good to go. So today, for example, I am eating roasted garlic chicken. Speaking of flavors though, Factor is rocking fall flavors right now, like cranberry pecan chicken and apple Dijon pork chops. It tastes really good, and to know it's not fast food that you're overpaying on delivery makes a big difference. So if you want to check it out and get eating like I am, you can go to factor75.com or click the link in the description down below, and then when you're there, use code ONJAKE50 to get 50% off your first Factor box. I'm hooking you up with some good meals. So again, remember, that's factor75.com. Use code ONJAKE50, and big thanks to Factor for sponsoring these videos. Donkey Dance 5483 says, do you think Baldur's Gate will create a surge of similar games blowing up in the same way? I never thought I'd see a turn-based CRPG become this huge, but I love it. I play a lot of games, but this one is quite comfortably my favorite. I need more with this level of choice and exploration. I do agree with that last part with you, that some people are going to really be looking for after this. After seeing the heights of something like what Baldur's Gate 3 offered, they will be looking for this level of choice and exploration in more games. But it's interesting. Even something, I'm going to also combine it with like Elden Ring. So Elden Ring was an unprecedented hit, an absolute smash hit, that broke through to like the mainstream. And when a game is that big, usually you feel the ripple effects of its influence for a couple of years to come, but you don't feel it immediately because games take a little while to make. So even the people who were inspired by Elden Ring and something that Elden Ring did are still in the trenches working for a game. So we might not see that quite yet. And I think the same goes for Baldur's Gate 3. It might be a couple of years, but I will say both Elden Ring and Baldur's Gate are in a very specific spot because those games are like, what's the word? Like daunting, just like unrelenting. The amount of work put into both of them, the amount of stuff in the game is like a Herculean effort by the people involved behind it. So whoever is going to, bring incredible things that Baldur's Gate did to their game or Elden Ring, whatever, any big game like that where it seems insurmountable, it's going to take a lot of time and money. RPGs like that take so much like writing and quest planning and like just think of the web. It gets insane. And that's just me looking at it as a layman. So there's probably a lot more I'm missing. But I really hope there is some Baldur's Gate 3 influence going forward. I'd say more than Elden Ring. Like I let From do their thing, but I think Baldur's Gate 3's RPG influence could be great because we've had the era of, RPG influences. That means we need colored loot, skill trees, stats, even in games that don't need them. Whatever. I'm ready for the next era where it's like, RPG. That means we need branching storylines, incredible choices, great character moments, stuff like that. Will we get it? I don't know, but I hope so. Ooh, Cody Schmalz 1455 says, I was wondering what classic arcade game would you want to see get the AAA or even AA treatment? My choice would be Carnival and turn it into a horror FPS or somewhat of a like new Resident Evil style. Okay, my answer is 100% Time Crisis. I love Time Crisis so much. And I don't know how they could make that cool again, but at the very least, what I would like is and again, this is like getting a little niche, but like a big budget, VR production. I know some people immediately go, but I think it's hard for them to take something as generic as Time Crisis and turn it into just like a compelling first-person shooter campaign. But I think where they can succeed is if it's VR. Because I don't need like an incredible story about two guys shooting bad guys or anything like that. I just was hooked on that light gun style gameplay with the duck down thing, like all of that. I played the shit out of those games in arcades. I still do when I can find them. I go absolutely nuts. I think 2 is my favorite, and really like there are still ways to play those old games, but I would love to see a resurgence of the light gun game feel. Just the fun of like shooting up everything, reload. I don't know, just the craziness. I lack the words to talk about this one, but that's what I would like to see. House of the Dead got kind of like a little bit of a remake thing, and I didn't love it. So I'm hoping that they could eventually do something cool with Time Crisis. Who knows? Brent over on Patreon asks, were you ever into any RTS games? Sometimes I feel like nobody at Game Ranks knows they exist. I can't speak for Game Ranks. I'm only like a part of it. I know that they're not on enough lists, but if you look at the before you buy videos, like, Game Ranks has, and I know I personally have covered some RTS titles, but for me personally, I know I don't talk a lot about them. RTS specifically, Halo Wars I liked. I had a big moment in StarCraft 2 for a while. I melted a MacBook trying to play that game. I had like a boot camp thing going on my early MacBook, and I played StarCraft on that. That was fun. I like Age of Empires 2, and I like that they remade that. We've made videos about that, but I like that back in the day and now. Also, Star Wars RTSs I really, really liked, and also like I know it's not really like an RTS, but I've never really been able to talk about it in a video, but Full Spectrum Warrior. Hell yeah, Full Spectrum Warrior was awesome. Is that an RTS? I don't know, whatever, it's sick. Or, I mean, I haven't played it since it released, but I remember it being really awesome. TimmyBoy7465 says, what is the item or items you're most excited to put up in your new office? So, yeah, clearly still very much under construction here. There's boxes. I have a power drill. I'm like doing shit here. The idea is to eventually have a bunch of cool stuff on the walls. My favorite, I don't know, like a 100,000 subscribers plaque. Those are very special to me. But also I have some cool DeLorean art I actually have DeLorean art from like roughly 1981 or so, signed by John DeLorean that I've been dying to finally put up on the wall. It's my favorite car ever. Not really because of the movie, but because of the weird history behind the car itself. I've talked about it a million times. I'm sorry. Also, two of my favorite things though in the office, I will say, like I actually have a lot of cool stuff like off camera right over here, but this is Cal Kestis's lightsaber. This is like a all metal one, like out of one piece of metal that they sent before the original like Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order dropped, and it just like sits on a thing. And I don't know, it makes me happy as a Star Wars person, but I probably shouldn't do that. Can't help myself. Also, I have this snake. It's like a pixel art snake from Mujiko. I will link in the description. He does incredible art. I've shouted this out on social media, but incredible. Like, you know, you can get like classic Resident Evil 1 characters, like old Tekken characters, stuff like that. They do great work, and I love this guy. But yeah, really, for you guys, eventually you might see a little bit more of that on screen, but also a bunch of cool stuff on the walls. Anyway, I've been talking about myself too much. Pinch Slinky says, are there any games that you have not had the time to play this year that you're hoping to finally be able to get around to playing over the holidays? Yeah, so for me, every year how it works, December is kind of like a mad dash for catching up with games that I've wanted to play throughout the years that I think I might even consider on my Game of the Year list that I had put off. Stuff like Dave the Diver, I've had a lot of interest in. Super Mario Wonder, I haven't had any time to touch, so I'm trying to cram in some more games. Bomb Rush Cyberpunk as well. Just some games I'm trying to cram in towards the end of December so that I can give as many games a fair shake at being some of my favorites for the year. In the past, like December would be my time to just catch up with games I didn't play from like a year or so ago, or 2 years, or things I just want to replay. But now with so many games releasing, that's how this goes. My schedule is always pretty packed. Hey Jake, there's been a lot of great remakes in recent years, but what games do you feel would not translate well into a modern day remake? I've said it before, I'll say it again, the original Metal Gear Solid. Sorry, I said what I said. It's like my only hot take. And Ducky Bread asks, with the holiday season rapidly approaching, do you have any fond memories of getting a game or system as a gift that left an impact on you? So Ducky Bread personally remembers getting a DS way back in the day for Christmas. I love hearing that. And for me, I think the big thing was a Christmas, I got the original PlayStation. And I think I got Crash Bandicoot and Jet Moto. And I had such a hard time adjusting to 3D gaming. I was so bad at it that I got frustrated, and I would oftentimes walk away from the PlayStation, and then my parents would get hooked up on it and like play Jet Moto all night and like invite their friends over and shit. Which, like, looking back now, that's awesome. I love them. I don't think they've touched a video game since, but that's really cool. So that's a memory. Also, at some point for Christmas, I had gotten like a set of speakers. Like it was like a dock you put your PlayStation 2 into, and it adds speakers that kind of boost the sound. So you have the TV sound and these speakers, and they weren't great or anything like that. It was probably like a piece of crap, like, you know, third-party garbage, but it made the sound loud. And I had gotten also for Christmas the Shinobi PlayStation 2 game, like the Shinobi kind of reboot 3D action game, and it was awesome. And the music was just blasting, and I was sitting there in my basement like, holy shit, this is the peak of gaming. I am a peak gamer. Little things like that come to mind. I'd love to like spend another video like breaking out more of that, and maybe like us kind of having a back and forth, like your memories and my memories. I'll try and cook on something like that, but I do think that's a good time to wrap this up. Yay, holiday memories. But if you are watching this, I hope you have a nice Thanksgiving if you celebrate, and if you don't, just have a nice whatever day. Let me know in the comments what you think about some of my weird answers for things. But again, most importantly, hit me with some good questions for the next Q&A video. If it's a subject you've never heard me talk about that you want me to talk about, any game, something in the headlines right now in the gaming world news or movie news, whatever, I'm down. So hit me up if you like this video and you get what I'm trying to do here. I'm just yapping, just talking about stuff I like. You know, that's really it. If you get that, clicking the like button helps me. Thank you. But that's it. I'm Jake Baldino. See you guys next time. Subscribe because video games, pizza's on me.